for making us a part of your daily routine. We are Zim Gospel Masters, and we are coming live from our Facebook page, Zim Gospel Masters Official. If you're just tuning in, this is the Dutch Drive with your classical presenter TJ Classics. And today I have got a special guest. It's very unfortunate, you know what, guys? I can hardly pronounce her name. So I'll let you introduce yourself and I'll make her teach me how to best pronounce her name. How are you, ma'am?
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing great, thank you. Welcome to Zim Gospel Masters.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
I think it's wise for you to first teach us how best we can pronounce your name before we dash into the Dutch issue.
Alright, so normally I do not stand up before I get introduced, but I think this is, I have to indulge you. So my name is Sottovoce. Sottovoce.
Guys, I think you can just hear that the name is not that easy to pronounce. But anyway, would you mind if I just call you Sotto?
No, yes, I do mind. I am Sottovoce.
Okay, I'll try to pronounce Sottovoce. Is it correct?
Sottovoce.
Sottovoce. Alright, maybe you can just introduce yourself quickly.
Okay, so basically I'm Sottovoce. I am a systemic therapist who is trauma focused. And yeah, basically for this purpose, that should suffice. I have many things, but for today, this will have to work.
Okay, thank you so much. There you have it from Sottovoce. Hey, the struggle is real. But anyway, welcome to the Dutch Drive issue. And today's issue is a bit critical. But anyway, what else can we do? We need to Dutch Drive into that issue. Today we are talking about a controversial topic. Pastors' wives called the opposite of warm. Are they called? I don't know what you say. It's 148-109-07 is the WhatsApp platform number. Feel free to contribute to get in touch with us. Would want to know how your pastor's wife is treating you out there. I know it's a controversial issue, but we need to come up with solutions on how best we can deal with the issue. Before we go any further, what's your view on this one?
Cold. First, I have to ask for clarity's sake. Cold physically or emotionally?
I think the cold aspect is covering everything. Physically, emotionally, spiritual, everything, every aspect.
Okay. So my opinion as a pastor's wife is a human being. Mm-hmm. And sometimes because of circumstances, every human being has the capacity to be cold or to be warm. It's about the environment that we are subjugating them to. So sometimes when we subject, in fact, to these pastors' wives to cold treatment, disrespect, or when we overstep boundaries, sometimes somebody may seem cold when in fact they are not. And again, this goes physically, spiritually, as well as maybe emotionally.
Okay, well said. But what are the critical points that you'd want to point out to that can make someone cold?
Okay, it can be an issue of undealt with trauma. Okay. It can be betrayal trauma. A lot of times, recently we all came across, I hope we did, an issue whereby a pastor left his wife for a young Amatuke, I don't know, slave queen or something like that. So you find that sometimes these women are getting betrayed at home. Okay. And they know the pastor away from the pulpit. They know the pastor in private. They know this pastor at home. The pastor you don't know. Okay. So sometimes this is a hurting woman who is bleeding inside, and what you see as coldness is actually grief.
Okay, so you are trying to dismiss the whole point that they are not cold actually, but there are situations that pushes them to be cold.
Absolutely. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, 07148109007 is a WhatsApp platform number. Here's the Dutch Drive issue. Our pastors' wives are really cold. And so I've got our guest here. I won't say her name because it's so confusing. And I know she'll just forgive me on that one. So, this issue is a critical one because some were asking if for one to be actually a pastor's wife, what are the conditions for one to be a pastor's wife?
The condition is your pastor chooses her. That's the only condition.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's no need to be called by the Holy Spirit.
Well, that one would need the pastors to speak. I've heard one, I don't like to use names, but I've heard one very prominent father, so to speak, saying if God speaks to me and if God called me, then you should respect that my choice was also called.
Oh. Is it transferable?
And also, have you also noticed, his argument is he has discernment.
Okay.
To discern this is the rib of his rib.
Oh.
Number one. Number two, I've seen churches where a pastor is, appointed and automatically the wife becomes also a pastor. They are there. Can't argue that. So I think it's very subjective, but at the end of the day, here's what I'm saying. All I'm saying is when someone is married to your pastor, there are certain things that sometimes, especially ladies, we do that, and I think we really may need to repent from that. This one of calling your pastor at 3 a.m.
Yes.
to tell him you've got period pain. This one of going to the pastor to tell him about how your husband doesn't want to touch you. This one of, there are certain things that we take to the male pastors, even in churches where we have female pastors. I don't know why, I don't know how that ends up happening, but I think, imagine yourself, empathize with this woman, put yourself in her shoes, to say, if this was me, and all these women are coming to my husband at any time of the hour, no boundary whatsoever, no emergency either. Is it an emergency that you have period pain? Is there no other doctor or a female pastor, a prayer warrior that you can go to? There are certain things that we take to the male pastors that I think sometimes, again, remember, these male pastors are also flesh and blood. And that's also how sometimes we find these men lured into some of these, extramarital affairs.
Yes.
I'm not saying that the pastor himself will be clean on that, but I'm just looking at the pastor's wife now. So if it has happened that he has seen two people, it just takes one person, one female, who is coming after or going after your husband, for one woman to build a wall around and against all the other women. And again, my question is, this coldness being subjected to the male congregants as well as the female congregants?
Yeah, that's a critical one. That's a good point. So I would also want to understand from your point of view that this coldness is caused by people in most cases. Because someone might be cold spiritually, because in most cases it's the husband who is cold, not he. And someone can be ignorant, saying that it's not me who is cold, it's my husband. So that's my husband's duty to be there for people. Someone who can just be cold is that. So are you saying it's here not being spiritually cold by God, or it's just here being ignorant, not being there for people?
Again, I would say it's very difficult, but a person can be warm and not a pastor's wife. Any family, there is warmth. You can find warmth in any marriage. If you visit certain homes, it can be, you can find warm people, but at the same time you can find cold people. Sometimes it's an issue of personality.
Okay.
Number one. Generally, does this person like people?
Okay.
Does this person like to be around people? And it can be, when I say personality, they are introverts, they are extroverts. Sometimes the person you think is cold is probably just an introvert. Somebody who's quiet, somebody who's reserved, and you think they're being cold. Whereas they're just being themselves within their personality. And then the aspect of becoming warm, sometimes, like I'm saying, have you welcomed this person?
Yeah.
What sort of welcome are you giving this person? Have you respected this person? What sort of respect are you giving this person? We have situations where people say something behind somebody's back and it becomes impoverishing. She accepts that narrative that, oh, she's not even cold. Is she even cold? There are people who have low self-esteem based on their upbringing, based on situations that they've been subjected to, and that person will absorb the negative things that are being said. So when she then says, I'm not cold, she is probably sometimes echoing the sentiments that she has heard the congregants saying. Do you know there are situations whereby people already plan that brother so and so should get married to so and so? Elder so and so should get married to so and so. By the time he gets married to somebody who's not from that congregation, from that church, that person is never received. That person is not welcomed. When she gets there, she doesn't get a warm welcome. And then that is when this thing that we call secular causality comes. She's just reflecting exactly what you have mirrored to her.
Okay, wonderful. So how best can we treat, like you said before, someone might be traumatized. So how best can you treat that person as a way of removing that coldness within me?
Firstly is love. Secondly, you might need to get help, professional help, because sometimes you need to unearth the cause and the root of that trauma. It could be a childhood traumatic experience. It could be a relationship traumatizing scenario whereby maybe her ex, this and that, ex-boyfriend and ex this, or it could just be something that she witnessed happening within the parental system as she was growing up. So it really is, determined by the cause of that trauma. So the best thing is to be warm to that person. Sometimes, a smile will give a smile in return. Just that niceness, that love. But when you realize that person is really, really, really not responding, then there are deeper things that you don't know. Do you know there are also the narcissistic pastors who are so nice, so amazing in the face of, the public, but at home those people will be bullies, battering their women. We read about it, we see it every time.
Yeah, it's true.
So when we think this one is cold, maybe she's just suffering from the bruises, from the battering that she got at home. So be kind, be empathetic.
Okay, there you have it. You just need to be kind, you just need to be empathetic, you just need to give that smile to your pastor's wife before you judge she's cold. You just need to be good to her. You never know, she might be going through a lot back at home. But you have spoken about the issue of pastors being bad back at home.
Not every pastor is bad at home. And again, let me also point out, some of the pastors' wives can be narcissistic as well. So about pastors being bad at home, of course we have pastors who are coming out, we are seeing it. So can we dispute when we have seen it? I read something that says a pastor was fired for hiring some murderers to hitmen to kill his wife.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
So yes. We heard about a pastor who then apologized for being caught with somebody's wife. So it's there.
So can we actually safely call that person a pastor? Because a pastor must be a shepherd, someone who is clean, someone who's got a cleaner background, not doing nasty things. Can we actually call that person a pastor?
That's a trap question. I see what you're trying to do, but here's how I'll answer you. The Bible says, touch not my anointed.
Oh, yeah.
Number one.
Oh, yeah.
Also, God had called Saul, but he also denounced Saul. So who calls the pastors is God. Who denounces the pastors is God. Who has the right to say he's a pastor, he's not, she's a pastor's wife, she's not, she's called, she's not. It's only God. Because when we do that, we might risk touching God's anointed.
Okay, 07148109007 is our WhatsApp platform number. I know you have got your contribution pertaining the issue that we are having right now on Dash Drive, issue with your classical presenter TJ Classics. Feel free to get in touch with us. Also remember, we are coming live from our Facebook page, that is at Zim Gospel Masters Official. I've got a special guest. She's helping us to understand the coldness part of the pastors. I know you might have called your female pastor or your pastor's wife cold, but not knowing on the background. So she's here to just give us some of your views on the other things that might lead to that chilledness or that coldness. And she has just mentioned the issue of the pastor being bad, being bullied back at home. So you need to sympathize with that pastor's wife. We are talking about a controversial topic, the issue of pastors' wives being called. And I've got an expert in the building. She's helping us to understand some of the things that might be happening back there at your church with your pastor's wife, and things that you can point out to be coldness, but being caused by other things back at home. So we've been talking about some of the issues that might cause someone to be cold, and you mentioned the issue of trauma and being bullied back at home. But there are some things that us as congregants tend to ignore, tend to just do. Maybe if someone visits a pastor's home, someone can just go in and do whatsoever they like. At the end of the day, if you are the one facing such situations, you wouldn't like it. So what are some of the situations that you can point out that you actually know I don't like it?
Okay, in simple, how many of the viewers or how many women enjoy somebody, for example, just calling you, calling your husband or your wife, calling your spouse at any hour? Number one. Number two, how many enjoy people just coming at any hour and they don't leave and they don't go?
They want to be served food.
Exactly. And sometimes some of the pastors' wives are the ones who are going to work. And the pastor is being a pastor, and not all churches give salaries.
Oh, yes.
Sometimes she is the breadwinner. And again, there are some men who become pastors after they've married. And this woman was never part of the negotiation to say, oh yes, I'm going to marry a man of God, in quotes, or a pastor, right? So sometimes you're dealing with somebody who literally has no say in being a pastor's wife, per se.
I see.
And generally, there are things that pastors can be so giving. They seed, they do this, they do that, and they give to you. But sometimes there is nothing at home. And the wife, be empathetic. Just be a person who empathizes with the next person. She is human before she is a pastor's wife.
That's true.
She is a woman before she is the pastor's wife. So remove the spiritual, thing where you expect and over expect and have too much expectations. Just think of yourself, would I want this? Would I enjoy this? Would I like this? And again, just acknowledge her presence. Do you know there are people who just get into a pastor's wife, a pastor's house, and they go straight to look for the pastor? I've heard situations where women will just be touching the pastor, or the pastor and his wife are sitting next to each other. A woman gets in with a problem, and she asks the pastor to talk in private.
My God.
What do you want to talk in private with the pastor?
With someone's husband.
That the wife cannot. She is your pastor's wife. A mindfulness, right? What can you say to him that it has to be a secret from her? Those are some of the things that somebody would get to the pastor, hold his hand, and say, Pastor, let's go and talk in private. And the wife is there like, what? What is going on here?
Yeah, I think that's a critical situation, and for everyone, I know kuti ukazvitirwa out there, you'll be just pissed, you'll be just angry. So you see kuti it's not only about the pastor's wives, it's about how you deal with the pastor in front of his wife. You just have to respect her, you just have to give her the room. Pattern now very crucial, and I know kuti it's happening in a lot of churches out there. So kuti you need secret room with the pastor. What for? Can only issue issue yako, I think you just have to go through the pastor's wife. Kana ichinge yamuremera, like she has been saying, then she will take the issue to the husband. Kwete zvokuti munoda create a room you are a pastor. So this is a crucial point that has been stated. You need to be so much careful when it comes to talking to someone's husband. I can safely say so, because pastor wako, you have to remember kuti murume wemunhu, and you have to remember kuti in as much as he is called vane mubatsiri, ende kana uri mudzimai une nyaya yako, so as to avoid the issues mascenarios ekuti you say my pastor's wife is so called, just go through her, and kana zvinge zvamuremera, she knows what to do. 07148109007 is our WhatsApp platform number. I know you've got a contribution, maybe une zvawakaitirwa napastor nemudzimai wapastor namai mufundisi vako, you can just come through with your contribution so that we get to help each other. Zvimwe zvacho ndimi muri kukonzeresa vanhu vesangano mozoda kublema your pastor's wife. There's other issue of dressing. Dressing. Mai mufundisi anofanira kuva achipfeka sei?
Okay, before I answer that, I want to go a little back to the last one that we said. If you are a married woman, think on this one. How do you feel when your in-laws are always bypassing you on things that most women would have a general consensus to say this one should at least be passing through the wife? He's now a married person. So when they are doing some of these things, at least you should be involved somehow.
Exactly.
So when you are doing whatever you're doing and you're looking for a pastor, involve the wife somehow. Even when you are blessing, do you know, it's so easy to go and bless the man of God. You bought him a suit, you bought him at this, you bought him what I had an encounter at a certain church that I was going to, and the pastor's wife was saying, now I don't know, there's this woman who's always buying my husband clothes, and when she buys them, she brings them to church, and when she brings them to church, she asks this man, the pastor, to walk with her so that she can wait outside the gents for him to try on these clothes, so that if they don't fit, her explanation as the one who's giving the gift is so that if they don't fit, she will take them back and return them to the store. So she was saying, I don't know how I feel about that. Sometimes when you want to bless your man of God, sometimes it's not always buying him. You can buy even mindfulness.
Yeah.
And say, Father or Pastor, I've bought this for pastor's wife. And he can easily accept that. Either way, you say it.
How are pastor's wives supposed to be dressing?
The Bible does tell us. I think as long as it's decent. I would want classy. I would recommend classy and decent, in the sense that you don't have to show your cleavage. And it's not pastors' wives, it's every Christian.
Oh yeah.
So every Christian, I'm not going to pin this on pastors' wives, because we have this tendency of wanting to judge the pastors' wives on a different mark, whereas the Christian woman should just dress decently, cover your cleavage, cover your legs, no one wants to see your thighs, and don't come with these very tight things as if you want to seduce someone. So this is not for pastors' wives, this is for Christian women.
Because you know why I asked that? There are a lot of controversies in churches whereby congregants, they actually have got that type of dressing that they would want my fundis to put on. So if she doesn't put on such clothes, the whole congregation is bitter. So I just wanted you to clarify, and you just did. How are they supposed to dress? Something that is classical, something that is nice, something that covers the most crucial parts of your body, and you have said it well. So I don't know if you are tuning in, you are getting this here in this conversation, in this dash drive issue. My pastor's wife, very cold, they are not cold. It's you who makes them cold. So you need to play well with your pastor's wives out there. There's another issue, the roles of pastors' wives. It's very unfortunate we couldn't have a pastor's wife. Taida kuti vazvitaurire vazvibudire pachena kuti zvimwe zvezvinhu zvatinopiwa zvakadai hatikwanise kuzviita, but now we've got an expert here. She can help us to unleash some of the pastors' wives' roles zvavanofanira kunge vachiita kudzoku ndava pamwe pacho kuti want her to do a task that she cannot do. Zvokutotiwo munhuwo she's your pastor's wife but she can't do it. So what are the general roles of the pastor's wives?
Maybe if you could give me an example of one role that you say she's given that she can't do.
That's a tricky one. But now there's this other issue of praying for someone. Remember, this one is not called.
I am not going with that. She's not called. To be honest, I think the Bible calls everybody and says, go ye therefore. So literally, I believe everybody is called. We are called. And even the Bible calls and says, the harvest is many, but the harvesters are few. It's a call to me. It's a call to you. The moment you become a Christian, you're called to go and spread this gospel. Yeah? And again, we are not just saying some of these things is you. We're saying it's some of the things that she may have experienced. It could be a personality. It could be what you're putting her through. The roles, when it has to do with roles, again, like I said, involvement. Because when you involve someone and you become a team and you know you're called, she is called, you're called, we are all called, we then have communication. The problem we have in today's church is we want to compete and we don't want to complement.
That's true.
Because we want to compete, sometimes we want to overload someone in a bid to try to show their incompetency. Do you know when somebody is not very good at cooking sadza and Amwene knows that, and then right there she's there and she knows this one. she has trouble in that area, and then she says go and do that one. So when it comes to prayer, honestly, if you are a pastor's wife and you cannot pray, surely then you need to really work on that as a goal for 2023, to learn to pray. And with regards to any other church task, it can be planned, it can be anything. Let's just communicate, let's work as teams. And you know, when there is that collaboration, that complementing between the pastor and his wife, I think it becomes easy.
Yeah.
Because you know, I'm supposed to cover your weaknesses, and then you know, we know each other's weakness, we know each other's strength. Because who's giving her that task? If the husband is not involved, if the pastor is not involved, the only thing is there's always trouble in paradise when you see things like that coming, because the pastor is supposed to be covering. Because in as much as we want to say pastor's wife, are we looking at the pastor himself as well? Are we looking at him? Are you covering your wife? Are you supporting your wife? Are you giving the skills? Even if she needs to go to pastoral school as well. Even if she needs to go to cooking school. Even if she needs to, are you giving her the support? Are you giving her the love? The emotional side of it. If you cushion your wife, she will be able to receive people. Because a woman who's loved, people, there is no such thing as forced submission. Love. The Bible says, men love your wife. Wife, love, respect your husband. The first thing that is spoken about is love. When a woman is loved, thoroughly loved, deeply loved, that woman, submission is like butter, or, you know, cutting butter with a hot knife. It's that simple. It's that easy. So those things will show us what's happening at home. These are just symptoms. The woman you think is cold, these are symptoms of what is lacking at home. The woman who's not doing these competent things that you're saying she can't, she this is, with proper support, with proper encouragement, babe, or my wife, or my rib. Babe, I don't even like the word babe, because you know what? She's your rib. But my half, or my me, or my this, you know, love your wife the way you love yourself. That's what the Bible says. When you do that, you support her. You don't make a mockery of her, and you don't let people slander her or you don't expose her. You know, when you have something that you don't want seen, you cover it. Cover your wife the way you want to be covered. Your wife will cover you the way you would need to be covered. It means there is some trouble in those marriages. So because we are here to even be talking about this, it means most pastors' wives need rescuing. They need some healing, one form or another. You also pointed out the aspect of, you said even physically. You know, when things get physically cold in the matrimonial bed, it's a symptom of problems. Those problems need to be resolved. The pastor, his wife, they need to get a point. I love the fact that we are big systems. You can get support from the church, you can get support from whoever you want. But remember, you are the pastor and the wife, top of the hierarchy. Do you have other older pastors who are mentoring you that you can go to? They can help you with that. Do you have other older pastors who are mentoring even your ministry? Because they can help you with those things like coldness, this, that, because she can as well go to the older women. I can give examples of the Gutis. You can go to my Guti, you can go to, you know, Apostle Guti, and whatever ministry you're from, and say, please assist with this. You can go to seniors like the Prophet Angel, Prophetess Bibi, and if you have an upcoming ministry, you ask, we are struggling with this, how do we do it? Even if you are from the mainstream churches, the Catholic or whatever it is, of course there are no wives there, so let me put that aside. The Anglican, you know, the United Methodist, those that allow, you know, marriage, or it can be any other church, not to specify, but obviously there are others out there who have done it before you. Mentorship is also very, very key, is very, very important. But when you have pain that is deep in your heart, pain you're experiencing, pain you're living through because of whatever is going on within your marriage, sometimes you need to find healing somewhere.
And there you have it. Crucial points being unleashed there, words of advice. Hey, I wish I was a pastor's wife. Can you pray for me so that I can? And, now I'm educated. I think now I'm educated. I'm very much equipped to become one, because you have said out a lot of important things. Yeah, really, you have actually helped. I think kuti mabatsirikana kunze oko when it comes to your pastors' wives, and also when it comes to how to deal with them, they need help. Not very so-called. They need you. They need your love. They need your support. So, any last words of advice that you'd want to give to pastors' wives, and the congregants, just in 2 minutes?
Pastors, love your wives, just as Christ loves the church. Pastors' wives, when you do not feel like you are being well received, find help, seek help, and when you feel like their boundaries being crossed, find help. Even if it means you need to go for couples therapy from older pastors or from professionals. And congregants, you need to empathize. Please empathize with your pastor's wife. The dressing that you are expecting your pastor's wife to dress in, how are you dressing? Because remember, you can be coming near naked, and your pastor's wife now feels insecure. She feels she's in competition. And remember, spiritual growth is not a matter of age. It is not a matter of number of years in church.
Oh, yes.
Sometimes with love, someone can grow. It all goes back. Pastor's wife, love yourself enough to seek their help. Pastor, love your wife. Congregants, try to love these women and empathize. Put yourself in the shoes.
Thank you so much. I do hope you got that advice. I know, Guti, you help people out there, a lot of people, especially those who have been traumatized. What are your contact details so that people will get in touch with you?
My contact details, my phone number is 0778 260 777.
Maybe you can repeat.
0778 260 777.
All right. All right, thank you so much for tuning in. That was the Dash Drive issue. We're talking about the coldness that you give or put in your pastors' wives, and we had so many issues pertaining that coldness. And personally, I've been helped with the conversation. But no, it's not about the pastors' wives. It's not about them only. It's also about us, the congregants, and we should stop labeling them cold. We should love them. We should understand where they're coming from and where they are actually going. So that was the Dash Drive issue with your classical presenter. Thank you so much, ma'am, for being here.
Thank you for having me.
All right, stay tuned.